Okay everyone, welcome back to week 21 of the Actrollvision weekly time trial community event. This week we're driving the Formula X around Imola, a very hard combination with this car. It's got a lot of speed, but you've got to be careful of the curves. On the screen at the moment is the actual fastest lap I did, although there was an update with the Nvidia that I didn't know about before I did this, and it didn't record the sound, which was really annoying. But I've got on the screen at the moment. I just thought I'd show you the lap that we're gonna that was our actual fastest lap, but then we'll go through the track guide with the lap that was a bit slower. I think it was literally I had some breakfast, come back, and the update must have like affected something. Loaded the game back up and it didn't record it. So we spent, it was just a morning session. That's the thing. That's what's really annoying. It was literally just a morning session. We did one lap, no problem with the sound. Had some breakfast, came back to finish it off and just try and get the lap a bit faster and get the top time on the leaderboard. Got that time fairly quickly. Thought I was okay, went to edit the video, loaded it up, and there was no sound. So unfortunately there's no sound this, but what I'll tell you the difference is, you can see the ghost at the moment from the lap that I'm going to show you is pretty much identical at this point. But what I'd done on this lap, I'd saved more of my the KERS power to use for this part and the back straight. So I actually gained quite a bit on the end straight. You can see we're pretty much level at this point again. But what I've done, you're going to see how much KERS. I've got a lot of it left there, the boost button that you can use. I've built it up and I can use it all the way to the line. You can see the difference it makes on the straight, so that's why this lap was actually faster. And we'll break down the lap and try and give you a track guide in terms of braking distances and stuff in a second now. So we're going to do that now, load up the other lap and go through it now. So first thing you want to do is obviously get a nice and clean exit from that final corner. This car is fairly tricky. One thing I didn't do was adjust the steering rack, which I should have done, which we'll talk about when the setup comes. I felt like it was a bit too twitchy for me, so I probably needed to alter that slightly. So first braking zone, I like to brake a little bit before the 100. You can see I brake fairly early. Braking earlier in general gives you a smoother line through this corner. Just be careful on that curve. You've got to get the angle so good for them curves. If you take it a little bit too aggressive, the car flicks out and you lose a lot of time. You can see there we gained a lot of time from that ghost, and that's why I ended up being able to save a lot of the KERS, because I didn't need to use as much coming out of that corner compared to what the ghost obviously used. And you see, go through these corners again, you want to be aggressive on the curve and get on power very early. It's really key to get on that power early to stop it running wide, and also to get the speed into this next corner. So then braking just before the 50, you see quite fairly early and down into second gear, and then be careful on the power in second gear. And then once you're in a straight line, then you can feed that boost power in. Just be careful of feeding it too early because you'll just spin out. Then braking just past the 50, down into third gear, try and skim the apex of that curve, and then get on the power again very early into fourth gear, and use some of your boost power if you want, just to boost you up down this straight a bit, but not too much, because you're not going to want to carry too much speed into this right hander. So you can see there, down into third gear and second gear, and then on the power a little bit. This is where we lost a bit of time to the lap you saw before, as we just didn't get the power on properly, and then down into through the gears at the 100, and try and attack this first part of this curve and then the second part, but just be careful it doesn't unsettle the rear. You can use some of this green Astra on the right hand side, but just be aware your two left hand tyres cannot go past that white line. It will invalidate the lap, so just be cautious there. Again, you can see the difference at this point. We've only got 27% KERS compared to the lap that I showed you at the start of the video. We had about 50% at this point, so that's where we had got a lot of the KERS saved up for the last straight, and we didn't really have the speed now from this point onwards. As you can see, we was about level at this point compared to the lap I first showed you, but then we lost a bit there. So that's where you really want to save your KERS power up for them for this last straight. That's really key to make sure you've got enough to go all the way to the finishing line using your KERS from the exit of that final corner is really important. So an enjoyable TT. We'll go through to the setup now. I just loaded the top person setup and made some changes to that. So you can see we got the top spot, and we just made some very basic changes. All we really did, I think we added a bit of rear downforce to the setup they were using. We lowered the brake pressures because it was locking up a little bit too easy for me. We lowered the brake ducts as well to get a bit more speed down the straights. The steering ratio, I think I should have gone up to maybe up one more click up on that, or two, because it was a little, to make it a little bit smoother through the corners. It might have helped me out, but I didn't actually do that for the setup because I just spent the morning session, half an hour in the morning pretty much doing this, because I just loaded up the setup. I think it was on I think it was yesterday morning or something like that. We just loaded up the setup, made a few changes, and other thing I did was I increased the bumps up from the setup that the top person was using. They had very low bumps, medium-ish bump stop. I lowered it down and it didn't work, so I went higher and it worked better for me. And obviously I lowered the radiator vent down to 45. You can probably go lower than that, but I didn't want to risk it with this car. I didn't know if it would blow the engine, and like I said, I didn't spend too long hot lapping it. I just wanted to get the top time and then get this video out for you guys to see the top time lap. With regards to differential, we made some changes from his setup also. He had a slightly looser acceleration differential to what I was using. You can see there, I think he had on power diff 75, was it 70 or so? He actually might have had 75, and I've actually lowered that down to actually make it a bit more able to get on the power, but his coast was on 40, I think, and I lowered that down to 35. So it was just a few basic changes. One other change I did was I put the preload up a bit though, just to stabilise it, so that when I did get on the power, it wouldn't just spin out on the rear. Anyway guys, I'll leave the replay from the actual fastest lap we did, the 118.9. There is a lot more potential in this lap. I'm guessing if you really was going to push this car around here, you'd be in the 1 minute 17s, because it's just about getting the rhythm and working out the curves. I got the curves okay, but I think there was a lot more potential with getting the curves better in certain places and saving it more for other places. So it just takes a bit of getting used to. Obviously, it brings me back. It reminds me back on the F1 days when you used to have a sore thumb, because after doing this for half an hour, my thumb was hurting from doing the curves button, and I don't miss that. So I didn't spend too long doing it. It was about half an hour, and then we moved on to doing other videos. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the setup and the video. It's a fun car. It's a challenging car though, be aware. I think people on the pad might have a little bit of trouble with this car. I'm not too sure. It might be a bit loose for people on the pad, but I hope you enjoy it anyway, and we're going to be back with more of these videos very soon. Thanks again for watching, everyone.